Welcome. In this video, we will concentrate on the question, tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. This is the first question of this job interview training. The first and most important thing here is, when you hear this question, don't get ready to start saying anything about your personal life. The real question here is, tell me briefly about your professional experience and previous accomplishments, and also the relevant qualities and skills you have to offer. Crafting a response for this and any other question require patience, time, dedication, and above all, a profound self-knowledge. In this training, I will give you the tools, the guidance, specific techniques and tricks, and even grammatical topics and exercises to help you not only create your specific answers, but also improve your logical response time, and of course, your general English skills. Responding to this specific question, you should spend about 60 to 90 seconds. Of course, it may be a little less, a little more, depending on various factors, but keep that time frame in mind as a healthy average. One thing that's going to happen anyways if you continue to talk in a non-relevant way is that the interviewer will interrupt you, and that's not positive. So be very careful about the timing for this and any other question. Now, one of the most important things here, to succeed in organizing complex answers, probably your best approach is to create them as a separate parts entity, 2, 3, even 4 parts, depending on your common sense. In this case, we will organize this answer into 4 parts, as you can see in the PDF document, which, by the way, if you have not downloaded and printed, I urge you to do it, always. That will help you a lot. So please, print it. So again, as you can see, the part number 1 would be to mention your title or current or last work position. You can read in the PDF example that this is a simple task in which you say, for instance, I'm a petroleum engineer, or I'm a medical doctor, or I'm an accountant, or I'm a lawyer, etc. Similarly, if it's more convenient to mention a position, do it. Example, I'm a rig superintendent, I'm a Hispanic business consultant, I'm an international traveling agent. Or if you don't have a degree, I'm a bulldozer operator, I'm an elevator installer, I'm a sales representative, etc. You may as well mention your total years of experience in this segment. For example, I'm a petroleum engineer with a certification in offshore personnel training with 12 years of experience. Here's a fundamental piece of advice, which at the end of the day works not only for this question, but in general for all this training. Practice your answers so many times that you master confidence and clarity. Your goal is not only showing that you know your professional information, but also that you have communicative competence. Oftentimes, as I mentioned earlier, this one or a variation of this will be the first formal question in an interview. And remember what they say about the first impression. So make sure your answers reflect faithfully your personality, your skills, and your experience. Now, pause the video, take your PDF, read the example for part 1 again, then go to the last page of the PDF document, something like this. That's what you will use for your answers. And using the insights I provided you with, write this segment of answer for your own case, starting with the phrase, I'm a, I am a, and then your own information. Then hit back the play button. Once you're done with part 1, let's go to part number 2 of this answer. Part number 2 would be to mention years of experience per specific fields or sectors. And don't skip this, achievements. Here's a model example of this segment. My experience has been gained across diverse areas of the oil industry, ranging from offshore facilities inspector, position in which I spent 4 years, to rig superintendent assistant for 5 years, to outsourcing specialist. In this last job, I had the opportunity of saving my current company more than $2 million in a period of 2 years, working as a liaison between my organization and outsourcing companies. This accomplishment was publicly acknowledged by the board of directors. My skills in improving cost effectiveness in production processes have also been repeatedly mentioned by my superiors. As you could see, this part of the answer let the interviewer know not only how much time you have worked in each sector, but also what accomplishments you have achieved in them. In other words, here you need to provide examples and specific data to justify your claims and substantiate every argument, just like a lawyer in a courtroom. How can you get ready for that? Here's the trick. Get familiar as much as possible with the job description and design your expressions intentionally to meet the criteria the advertisement is asking for. A simple but very effective examples for you to further understand this would be, for instance, if the ad in the paper asked for excellent written communication skills, you may include phrases like, "Working in that department, by the way, I received constant recognition both verbally and in writing for documentation and handbooks that I redacted for various training programs." Now, if you have worked for several different companies or for many years and have a whole bunch of information, you're going to have to write everything down on a piece of paper and then carefully choose the most relevant and impactful. If you feel there are some other important things but what you have picked seems already enough, save them somewhere else for later use. Write them down, write those details, keep them available, even if it's for other answers. Here's an important note. Another reason why you shouldn't include so many different tasks or jobs is a person who changes jobs or departments too often might be seen as a red flag in the eyes of a recruiter. So be wise on that. The next step is, of course, the practical one. As you did with the previous segment, pause the video. Take the PDF document. Use it as a template to customize your own fragment. You can steal actual phrases that I have included in the model answer, general or even specific phrases. They are in bold type. Or you can also steal any other phrase that makes sense to your own case, for that matter. Make sure you follow the indication of using my model answers as a template and guide. Actually, the practical side of this training is that you to create your answers following my models, but using your own information. Now, pause the video, take some minutes to do that, and then play back. Part number 3 of this answer would be to talk about specific day-to-day responsibilities, duties, or tasks you currently do or have mainly done recently. For this segment, you just list what you currently do every day or did in your last job, in a clear, consequential, and logical way, using strong introductory phrases and linkers. When I say strong, I mean you try to be very clear, but also as formal and articulate as possible. Make yourself interesting. Oftentimes, your selection of words and the level of your vocabulary are even more impactful than the message itself. For instance, instead of just saying, "Every day I supervise 50 people and train a lot of workers," say something like this. On a day-to-day basis, my principal tasks consist of overviewing the performance of 50 associates, Similarly, I'm responsible for the training of a constant flow of entry-level employees. As you could see, while both phrases convey pretty much the same message, the second one shows your potential employer that you are a cultivated person and a better candidate for that matter. Here are some other suggestions, brief suggestions. I also such and such. Additionally, such and such. Other than those endeavors, such and such. Now, in order to help you become an expert in using those strong linkers I mentioned before, I will give you a simple but effective tip. Go to Google and type linkers for addition and apposition, like this. You find that in your PDF document. Here are some examples of the words you will find there. Aside from, equally important, furthermore, in conjunction with, likewise, namely, similarly, and so on. Make a list of the ones you find more relevant and practice them a lot. Actually, my advice is start becoming an expert in all kind of linkers. But that's a topic for another day. For right now, let's go back to the segment we were working on, the third segment. Here's a complete model of that segment. On a day-to-day basis, I'm responsible for the supervision of the performance of 132 workers with special attention to the human and social aspect. Similarly, I manage a team of junior consultants and a constant flow of drilling trainees. Now, of course, take your PDF, read the example the times as you see necessary, and create your own number 3 segment. The part number 4 of this answer is that in which you conclude with a phrase nicely and discreetly stressing some of your skills. This one part is not always necessary, so you may want to just have it ready but only use it in a real-life scenario if you believe is prudent. Here's an example of the 4th segment. But more than being a good consultant or human resources expert, I like to think of myself as a fair and democratic person as I try hard to listen to my team, my suppliers, my bosses, and anyone who comes in contact with my company. Now, as always, take your PDF and read the example again. Use it as a template and guide and create one with your own information. Now that you have the 4 parts of your answer, here are some very important pieces of advice. This technique of creating your answers with several parts is a very practical one. It will help you to discriminate between different parts of your professional information to manipulate them conveniently and efficiently. That's the reason why you need to adopt it. And not only with this one, but also with any other question that you consider appropriate in this training. Even if I don't remind of the technique at the moment, you are learning it right now, and you should use it every time you judge convenient. Here's another basic thing you must keep always in mind during this training. You should not memorize your answers. The way to go here is to repeat your written answers aloud so many times and in such a way that you become an expert in handling your information. Remember, questions are seldom asked in a similar way. Nevertheless, it's true you can memorize short, catchy phrases to be used when you judge convenient. Again, short phrases. Like for instance, I have been told by certain key people that I seem like the kind of individual who never takes the easy way. That kind of phrases. Let's give it now a final review, this time to the whole answer. I want you to hear how beautiful a complete and well-structured answer sounds. Hopefully you will get inspired. Here it is. I'm a petroleum engineer with a certification in offshore personnel training with 12 years of experience. My experience has been gained across diverse areas of the oil industry, ranging from offshore facilities inspector position in which I spent 4 years, to rig superintendent assistant for 5 years, to outsourcing specialist. In this last job, I had the opportunity of saving my current company more than $2 million in a period of 2 years as a liaison between my organization and outsourcing companies. This accomplishment was publicly acknowledged by the board of directors. My skills in improving cost effectiveness in production processes have also been repeatedly mentioned by my superiors. Now, on a day-to-day basis, I'm responsible for the supervision on the performance of 132 workers with special attention to the human and social aspect. I also manage a team of junior consultants currently and a constant flow of drilling trainees. But more than being a good superintendent or consultant or human resources expert, I like to think of myself as a fair and democratic person as I try hard to listen to my team, my suppliers, my bosses, and everyone who comes in contact with my company. So there you go. This is how your final version should sound. It'll make a lot more sense to you when you incorporate your own information, and you will feel proud about it, I'm sure. Another thing we should discuss. If you're still wondering why it's a good idea to create one single answer in 4 different parts, here is your explanation. There are going to be some times in which an interviewer will ask you a general "tell me about yourself," in which case you can come up with the whole answer you have prepared today. But what happens if he or she just asks, "How many years of experience do you have?" Then you know that you will use only the segment number 2 of this answer, not the whole answer. Just, the years of experience. Or what happens if your interviewer asks you, "What are the daily tasks you currently perform?" Then you know you will use only the 3rd segment of your answer. Hence the importance of not only divide your answers, but make sure you know exactly what each segment expresses. Additionally, be always conscious that you may need to make adjustments to your answer. Perhaps because you recalled something relevant to share, perhaps because the circumstances of the job you pursue are singular, etc. Don't worry. The first version of anything is not always the last version. Actually, renewing is what keeps this life current, so be prepared to make adjustments as needed. Now, from this moment on, you start becoming a master on your information for this answer. Also, remember to always continue working on your general English skills, and I will see you in the next question.